Places with a history of violence or bloodshed can often become sites of paranormal activity, according to many reports. All around the world, there are locations with dark and bloody pasts that are now believed to be haunted. In this video, we're gonna talk about the top 10 most haunted rooms globally, each with its own chilling story. Hi, I'm Alina. Welcome back to my channel. The Vulcan Hotel, a historic landmark in New Zealand, was built in the 19th century in central Otago during the gold mining rush. Today, it's known not just for its history, but as a hotspot for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. This is largely due to the chilling legend surrounding Room 1. Room 1 is believed to be haunted by the spirit of Rhodes, a prostitute who was tragically strangled in a bed there during the late 1800s. Many visitors have reported eerie occurrences, groaning sounds, and appliances turning on by themselves. Even more unsettling are the reports of doors locking on their own. What makes this story particularly odd is that Rose is said to only haunt men. It's speculated that because her murderer was a man, her spirit may now seek revenge on men who stay in Room 1. Male guests have shared chilling accounts of waking up in the middle of the night, feeling an unseen force pressing down on them, and the sensation of fingers tightening around their throat. Old Melbourne jail operated as a prison for 80 years, housing tens of thousands inmates and witnessing over 100 executions. One of its most notorious spots is cell number 17, often described as the center of the prison's supernatural activity. Many visitors have reported eerie encounters inside the cell. Some have felt as though invisible hands were choking them, making it difficult to breathe. Others have experienced sensations of being touched, having their clothes pulled, or even scratched by unseen forces. One particularly disturbing story involves a woman who, intrigued by the cell's haunted reputation, decided to lock herself inside during the prison tour. For a while, nothing unusual happened, and she prepared to leave. But as she reached for the door, she felt something yank her backward by the neck. When she looked down, she realized her necklace had been snapped in half. The prison itself has a grim history. Inmates as young as 10 were once imprisoned there for criminal acts. Conditions were so brutal that some prisoners even took their own lives while confined within its walls. If horror films have taught us anything, it's that the basement is often where the eerie and terrifying things happen. And this holds true for Newton House, one of the most famously haunted places in Britain. The basement where the servants once worked is particularly notorious, with many reports of paranormal activity. One ghost that stands out is that of Walter the butler, a former worker at Newton House. People claim to have seen his spirit, smell the distinct odor of tobacco in the air, heard disembodied voices, and witnessed lights flickering with no explanation. The house also has a dark history tied to a gruesome murder in the 18th century. Lady Eleanor Cavendish, a cousin of the Lady of Newton House, was tragically strangled to death by a spurned lover. Her restless spirit is said to haunt the house. In the 1980s, a member of a film crew reported a chilling experience in Lady Eleanor's former room. He claimed he felt as though he was being strangled, echoing the manner of her death. Felbrigg Hall, a grand stately home built in the 17th century, sits within the scenic parklands of North Norfolk. Despite its beauty, the hall harbors a darker, more mysterious past. The library, a stunning room designed by the renowned English philosopher Thomas Paine, is believed to be haunted by the spirit of William Langham, a former resident with a deep love for books. Langham spent much of his time in this elegant library. In 1809, while riding home one evening, he noticed that a nearby friend's house was on fire. Knowing that his friend had a precious collection of books, Langham rushed to help save them. During the rescue, he fell and badly bruised his hip. The injury tragically developed into a tumor, which eventually led to his death after a risky surgery, a much more dangerous procedure in those days. Langham was buried at Felbrigg Church close to the estate. However, some say his spirit never fully left. Late at night, his ghost is said to haunt the Gothic library, often seen standing near a table where his favorite books are displayed or by the fireplace, lingering in the shadows. One of San Francisco's most haunted places is the Queen Anne Hotel, which has a rich and eerie history. In the late 1800s, it operated as a girls' boarding school, led by a headmistress named Miss Mary Lake. There were rumors during her time that she was romantically involved with James Fair, a local senator. This story persisted long after her death, adding to the mystery surrounding her. Room 410, which was once Miss Mary's office, is said to be a focal point for paranormal activity, with many believing her spirit lingers there. Interestingly, her body is buried about 3,000 miles away from the school, yet strange occurrences continue to be reported. One guest claimed they woke up on the floor, wrapped snugly in their bed sheets. Others have shared experiences of hearing a soft voice singing as they drifted to sleep, being gently tucked into bed, or even finding their suitcases mysteriously unpacked. It seems that if the spirit is indeed Miss Mary, she is a kind and helpful ghost rather than a malevolent one. In 1900, Joseph Stickney built the Mount Washington Hotel. Sadly, shortly after the hotel opened to the public, Joseph became ill and passed away. His widow, Caroline Stickney, later married a European prince. Despite her new life, she returned to the hotel every year, always staying in the same room, room 314. Caroline passed away in 1936, and after her death, strange occurrences began at the hotel. Guests reported seeing a ghostly woman floating through the hallways at night, lights flickering without explanation, and a mysterious woman appearing in the background of photos taken at the hotel. Room 314, now known as the Princess Suite, is considered the center of the paranormal activity. Visitors have reported waking up to see a woman sitting at the foot of the bed, sometimes quietly seated, other times slowly unpinning her long hair. Some have even smelled a sweet floral scent lingering in the room. The bed in room 314 is the original four-poster bed Caroline herself used, leading many to believe she may still have a connection to the space. Paranormal enthusiasts eagerly book stays in room 314, hoping for a glimpse of the ghostly Caroline. The Langham Hotel in London is often considered one of the city's most haunted places, with claims of several ghosts roaming its halls. The most infamous spot in the hotel is room 333, which is believed to be the most haunted of all. According to reports, a doctor once killed his wife in this room before taking his own life. Now, his restless spirit is said to haunt guests who stay there. One chilling account comes from a guest who woke up to see a glowing orb that transformed into the figure of a man with no legs. The apparition began moving towards the guest, who fled the room in fear. Others have described strange occurrences, like the taps turning on by themselves, and an overwhelming, oppressive feeling when entering the room. The Langham is also believed to be haunted by several other ghosts. One is a helpful butler on the third floor, who continues to carry out his duties even in death. Another is a spirit with a hole in its face, seen wandering the hotel's corridors. Perhaps the most notable ghost is that of Napoleon III, who once stayed at the Langham and is now said to haunt its basement. The Russell Hotel in Sydney, built in 1887, is considered one of the city's most haunted locations, with a history filled with tragedy and death. The building stands on the foundations of what was once a convicts' hospital, where many died, including victims of a bubonic plague outbreak in the 18th century. Over the years, the hotel has served different purposes, including housing for sailors and possibly operating as a brothel. The hotel's past is marred by violence. In the 19th century, a prostitute murdered a sailor within its walls, and Senior Constable Henry Murrow also met a violent end there. Guests who stay at the hotel today often report strange and unsettling experiences, such as hearing footsteps at night, lights mysteriously flickering on and off, sudden cold spots, and even screams coming from empty rooms. While the entire hotel is said to be haunted, Room 8 is particularly known for paranormal activity. This room was the site of the sailor's murder, and guests, particularly women staying alone, have reported waking up to see the ghostly figure of the slain sailor standing at the foot of their bed. Leap Castle, located in Ireland, was built around 1250, though some sources suggest it may have been constructed in the early 1500s. Over its long history, the castle has witnessed significant tragedy and death. One of the most notorious areas in the castle is a hidden dungeon, which has a particularly dark history. This small dungeon, uncovered beneath a part of the castle called the Bloody Chapel, was accessible through a trapdoor. It's believed that prisoners were dropped through the door into the dungeon, where they were left to die of starvation. During excavations in the early 1900s, archaeologists discovered the remains of 150 individuals, indicating that hundreds of people likely perished in this dark space. The Bloody Chapel itself is also rumored to be haunted, particularly by a priest who was murdered by his own brother within its walls. People claim that the priest's ghost now haunts the staircase near the chapel, and some have reported seeing the chapel's windows glowing with bright light in the middle of the night, despite the fact that no one is inside. Leap Castle is often regarded as the most haunted castle in Ireland. Visitors can explore the eerie Bloody Chapel if they are brave enough to face its dark past. Dating back to the 1300s, Chillngham Castle has a particularly grim reputation, with much of its bloody history centered around its famous torture chamber. This chamber was under the control of John Sage, a notorious torturer known for his sadistic methods. Sage, who was feared for his cruelty, reportedly delighted in torturing and executing thousands of Scots on behalf of the English. He even designed his own torture devices to inflict maximum suffering. Today, visitors can explore this dark chapter of history at the castle. The original torture implements are still preserved, including the rack, a barrel with nails, where victims were rolled down the hill, and the Iron Maiden. The experience is not for the faint-hearted. Legend has it that John Sage never truly left this chamber. Many visitors have reported feeling a palpable sense of evil and malice, as though they were being watched by a malevolent presence. Some have even heard disturbing screams, which could be the echoes of Sage's victims. According to local lore, Sage met his end when a group of Scots, seeking vengeance for the suffering he caused, captured him and hanged him from a tree. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!